Alright. Me. I am the great white poo, and I'm going to throw my shit at you. A big supply of fish comes from my chocolate starfish. How about some Scott, you little twat? Good evening, everybody. Or good night, I guess. I don't know. It's 1 o'clock here. A little late to say good evening, but good evening anyway, everybody. I am Axel Wolf, hosting this wonderful little segment that's going to be featured on my blog, titled Axel Wolf's Radio Talk Show or something like that. Pending title. With your host, Axel Wolf. And tonight's very first episode is brought to you by Starburst. In case if you couldn't have told from my eating of them, well, anyway, if you notice a weird, strange cutoff there, my computer crashed. It's really bizarre, but we're back, and I managed to not lose any of the dialogue that I've recorded so far. So yeah, that's good. I don't like that word dialogue. It sounds like it was contrived, but as you can probably clearly tell, none of this is contrived. This is, as you could probably tell, this is the very first. Well, obviously you could tell it'll say episode 1, and if you're a reader on my blog, reader no more, for now at least, you would know that you would clearly know that this is the first time I'm doing this for this thing. Other times I've done this unscripted, where with my previous videos, where I'm just commenting over them. If you look at my history, you'll see not my viewing history. I don't even know if you can see that. But if you can see my past videos, or whatever, my previous uploads, you will see that there are some video game things, playthroughs, something like that, something of the sort. There's, like, for example, there's one episode of a BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea Let's Play, and that is the only episode. That was about the point where I stopped. That was the point where I stopped, where I hit stop on Fraps and thought to myself, maybe this isn't what I'm cut out for. Maybe it's not what I really want to do. I enjoy it. I enjoy playing games. I enjoy watching the YouTube videos. But the process for me is too strenuous. It's way too time consuming. I have like 6 classes. College classes, not high school classes. So, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna be eating Starburst throughout this episode, by the way, so deal with it. So for tonight, I'm going to talk about, oh yeah, of course, how could I forget? I'm going to be talking about BioShock Infinite Burial at Sea. More so episode 2 than episode 1, because I haven't played episode 1 yet. What the fuck am I saying? I haven't played episode 1 recently, and I don't intend on going back and playing it, and playing episode 2 over again, just to have it both clear connection in my head. I just don't feel like doing that. I don't have time to do that. I have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. And who knows how long I'll be talking here for. Hopefully no longer than half an hour. I really hope not. I really hope I don't talk any longer than that. And if I do, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. But anyway, so let's get to it. Burial at Sea, and also Space Dandy. What am I going to talk about first? I want to end this this show on a good note. Although both ends are going to end on a good note. But mainly this show. Mainly... You see, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I blame the Starburst here. Intentionally chewing so you can hear... yeah, the Starburst. I blame it. Even though I blame them for everything, really. They're not really producing this episode. They're not really sponsoring me. I'm just pretending that they are. But that'll be our little secret. Yeah, Starburst. You're really sponsoring my show. You're giving me all the Starburst for this. You see, as you can see, I'm eating one right now. I'm eating it right now. Although I guess technically you wouldn't know for sure because well, you know what? Why don't I take a picture? Yeah, that's a perfect idea. And I'm gonna turn on the sound on my phone so that way you can clearly hear that I took a picture while recording this. And as soon as my phone's camera app turns on, alright, ready? This is gonna be a really shitty picture because it's really dark. Come on. It sounded like I was playing with some music app, but really it's this really nice app. It's called Camera Plus. It's a pretty decent app. I think it's like about $1, $2 maybe. For $2 it's a pretty decent improvement over the default camera app that Apple gives for your iPhone. Yeah, you could do a whole bunch of things with it, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is BioShock Infinite and Space Danny, which I've been saying for the past 10 minutes already, and oh my god. So let's get started. Burial, let's see. Episode 2, to be specific. Like I said, I don't remember much about episode 1 other than I was not happy with it. No, I'm just kidding. I was happy with it, but it was a little disappointing. Let's start with episode 1. I feel like that would be an appropriate place to start. Episode 1, from what I remember, I do remember it very well. I just don't remember exactly what details I should say about it. But episode 1, to say it the worst, really was disappointing. I was hoping more for a walk around through Rapture rather than the first quarter of it being in Rapture, and then the rest of the, let's say 20% is walking around Rapture before anything happens to it. But then the rest of it, you're off in Fontaine Industries, which Ryan had sunk, and you're just there running around killing splicers. Sorry. Ammo. It's like a harder version of BioShock Infinite. Kind of like BioShock, but not really. It's like everything that BioShock Infinite is, only harder, because you have less ammo, and the splicers I think do more damage, and you don't have as much shielding or whatever. I don't know. All I know is gameplay is more or less the same shit. And then at one point it just becomes irrelevant because then you get a gun that you can microwave the splicers and blow them up, which is pretty fun. But after a while, it's thankfully it's towards the end. But yeah, it's just wow. But there is one thing that's really cool about this. Oh yeah, by the way, spoilers, guys. I think I'll put that in the description. But anyway, yeah, episode 1 at the very end, you go up and you fight a Big Daddy, and that was pretty awesome. That was, as far as the boss fight is concerned, that was pretty freaking badass. But beyond that, it's really short. You really have to be anal like me and scrutinize every single detail about Rapture, or technically, it's Fontaine Industries, not really Rapture. which still pisses me off. I mean, yeah, the beginning is in Rapture, but like, you don't do much. You just meet Sander Cohen, and voila, you're in Rapture. You're in Fontaine Industries, way off from Rapture, way distant from the rest of Rapture, and you're just killing splicers. And I said this already, so moving on. And then the plot was alright, I guess. It just gets really rushed towards the end. The plot is your Booker, or you think you're Booker. You'll find out later, or when I tell you. You're Booker. You're like a private investigator in Rapture. For some reason, this Booker doesn't seem to be aware of who Elizabeth is, and excuse me, who Elizabeth is, and oh man, God damn it, Starburst. Who Elizabeth is, and the events that happen in BioShock Infinite, and basically you go with Elizabeth. Elizabeth comes to you and says, "Hey, look, there's this little sister that has gone missing, and I need you to find her." So you go with her to look for Sally, the little sister, and then you meet Sander Cohen. Sander Cohen takes you pretty much to what's it called? My computer seems to be lagging a little bit, so I'm hoping nothing turns out bad. But anyway, Sander Cohen sends you to Fontaine Industries, and then from there you just kill a bunch of splicers until you run into a Big Daddy, and you and Sally as well. And then it turns out that this whole time Sally was being used as bait to lure Booker to the Big Daddy. And then it turns out Booker is actually a Comstock that managed to escape being erased from existence after the Booker in BioShock Infinite was killed. I don't know the logistics. I don't know why he's still alive, why this one Comstock is still alive. I don't know. I just know that Elizabeth goes after him to get revenge because A, she already hates Comstock, and B, I forgot what it was that she did, but she was there in this alternate universe with the one remaining Comstock. She was there when Comstock was trying to pull the baby Elizabeth from the tear, but instead of the tear cutting off the baby Elizabeth's finger, it cuts off her head. And Elizabeth, the one we know, is horrified and wants revenge. So yeah, Comstock, Booker aka Comstock, gets killed by the Big Daddy that you just fought, and that's how it ends. Along with that revelation that I just went over. Completely rushed, left me like, what the fuck was that? And the game is really only 2 hours. I'm like, this was nothing. A little disappointing. Episode 2 though. Oh man, episode 2. Episode 2. It's such a shame of the news of Irrational Games. If you haven't heard, Irrational is not making another BioShock. Irrational is not even continuing to exist. Everybody's splitting up, going their own ways. Ken Levine is taking like a few other people and moving on to new projects. Really sad. This is pretty much the end of BioShock, but I think sort of ends on a nice note. I don't want to dwell too long on this because I really want to talk about Space Dandy, but episode 2, you're playing as Elizabeth. I don't remember exactly how this all works out. She goes back in time to when she dies, because apparently after the Big Daddy kills Comstock, after the Big Daddy does that, he kills Elizabeth as well. But Elizabeth somehow still manages to go back in time to when she dies. Again, I don't know how. I'm not gonna get nitpicky here. She goes back in time to when she dies, and because of this, she loses her powers. And she goes back in time because she feels bad about what she did to Sally. So she wants to go rescue Sally from the hands of Atlas, who's plotting his large-scale revolution over Rapture using Jack from, as we know, the BioShock game. If you've played BioShock. If you haven't played BioShock or BioShock Infinite, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't understand what you're doing here. But anyway, so Elizabeth is going through, once again, Fontaine Industries, way isolated off from Rapture, once again annoying me. But anyway, going through Fontaine Industries. But interestingly, you don't run around shooting splicers like Booker. I mean, you could, but that is a really stupid and dumb idea because Elizabeth can get killed in pretty much 2 hits. And there are large groups of splicers, about as large as any kind of group you'd normally encounter in BioShock Infinite as Booker. So as Elizabeth, you don't have her terror powers, but you do have her brain lockpicking skills. So what do you do with that? You sneak around. And man, they did such a pretty good job with this stealth system. I'm not going to get too much into it. I really liked it. Other people may be nitpicky. I don't care. For this company, I thought it was really good. For this game, I thought it was good. You find early on you find a plasmid that makes you invisible, and you can also see through walls. And from there, you just go to town in Fontaine Industries, and you just sneak up on splicers and you knock them out. Elizabeth gets this little crossbow thing that's pretty cool, that you can shoot bolts that either tranquilize and put people to sleep, or you knock out gas, or you can, if you're really good at the lockpicking thing, you can get these noisemakers and use it in your crossbow, and you can shoot it somewhere, and you can just use that to distract splicers, make them think you're somewhere else. My computer is frozen right now. Okay, that's better. That's better, I think. Oh man, this does not look good. Well, hopefully it'll come out just fine. Excuse me. Anyway, so yeah. And then, of course, you make use of other things. Old Man Winter is back. Possession is back. There's this other thing that's kind of like it's kind of like the thing that you use to absorb bullets in Infinite, the normal game. But instead of like shooting it back at everybody, you collect it as ammo, health, and Eve. It's not a very good source of that though, because you normally burn more Eve than you gain back. Or Adam. No, Eve. Sorry. I get confused. Anyway, this programming has been brought to you by Starburst. Anyway, so as Elizabeth, you go around doing these things, shooting people towards. It's a very good establishment of pace, change of pace. Very good. I thought it was done well. There was a point, there was a part where you run into the Big Daddy, and I used the possession on him, and I pretty much killed 5 splicers without having to do anything. It was pretty hilarious, and it was glorious, and it was awesome. It seemed to me like I was able to make more use out of the Big Daddy in that one moment than in all my time of playing BioShock, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, a lot of cool things. You get to go to Colombia as well, and it's such a nice. It's basically kind of a swan song kind of thing. You get the best of both worlds. It's really awesome, and you get to explore Fink's Labs, and you get to see all the connections between Columbia and Rapture, the Big Daddy and the Songbird, and how the Songbird imprinted on Elizabeth, and all these really cool things. And in the end, oh my god, it's just so great. And I'm gonna spoil it because I don't care about any of you. But at the end, you get to go to Suchong's clinic, and you get to see how the BioShocks, the Big Daddies, and all the processes that Suchong went through to get them to imprint, and his consistent failure. I talked a little bit like Suchong there. His consistent failure. Basically, once you enter the clinic, you find the Big Daddy lying on the floor. He's harmless, but he's in your way. He's blocking the way. And there are these 2 little sisters next to him that are scared shitless of him. And they're not monsters either. They're normal kids with the atom in them. But anyway, Elizabeth, so you look around, look at their notes and stuff, and then Elizabeth comes back and tells them that they need to help him. And so the little sisters give the Big Daddy Adam they save the Big Daddy. The Big Daddy gets up, and the Big Daddy kneels down and picks up the little sisters, and it was just so adorable and so creepy and bizarre at the same time. Because having played BioShock and BioShock Burial at Sea and stuff, I know just how terrifying these monstrosities are, and it's just such a cool thing. It gave me the chills, and it was so adorable too. It's really something when something that gives you the chills can be so adorable at the same time. And that was wonderful, and it was also a very aesthetic and shallow thing of me, but it was just so cool to see all of this in the detail and using with the graphics engine that they use. So glorious, oh my goodness. And then after that, you get to see, okay, so like in BioShock, you go to Suchong's clinic as well, and you walk into a room and you see Suchong against a table with a Big Daddy drill going through him, and you'll find a audio log with that's a recording of basically his last moment, and he's like talking, and then he's talking about how his experiments with imprinting are always failing. And then some little sisters walk in, and he's like, "Get out of here, you little bastards!" And then the Big Daddy walks in. He's like, "What the hell is wrong? Like, what the fuck do you want? Get the fuck out of here! You're useless!" And the Big Daddy's pissed and kills him. You get to see all that. It's so cool, so cool. And then the way it ends is kind of lame. Once again, disappointed. I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's not a big deal. Elizabeth dies, and because she dies, well, yeah, she dies. I was hoping that she gets her power back, and we get into this awesome boss battle against something, and we have to use the tears to defeat it. Nope, we don't get that. It makes sense because Arsenal's closing. They want to tie up all the loose ends, so they have to kill Elizabeth. I think that's just too neat, though. It's just too much of the easy way to wrap up the thing. And not a friend of mine. I wouldn't call him a friend because we don't know each other on a personal level, but a fellow blogger by the name of Blue Highwind. Y'all should go check out his blog. Y'all should go check out his YouTube. He's awesome. Blue Highwind reviewed this game, much in the similar manner of how I'm doing this, and he said this problem was that it was weird to him that Elizabeth chose, because Elizabeth throughout the whole thing is getting these premonitions, because she still has like this, her brain is still affected by that power that she had, and so she can have memories of the future, and so she sees the end of BioShock 1. She sees the end of BioShock 1 where Jack saves all the little sisters. So, sorry. Oh my god, these Starburst are really slowing me down. She could see the end of BioShock 1. Alright, so she sees the end of BioShock 1, which is where he saves all the little sisters. And so she figures dying and helping Atlas with his plot would be good, because in the end, even though a whole bunch of people will die because of Atlas's uprising, the little sisters will be all saved. Blue Highwind had a problem with that. I personally think that it's because, I mean, you can go if I mean, it makes sense to me. It's a little justified because Elizabeth knows, sort of figures that the people who went down to Rapture did so by choice, whereas the little sisters don't have any choice. So I guess that's what she does, and figures yeah, just figures it would be just fine for everybody in Rapture to die. I mean, I don't see too much of a problem with it. I personally just think that there could have been another way to end this thing just fine, but who knows. Anyway, and also Blue was sad that Elizabeth died, but if you think about it, maybe this doesn't mean that Elizabeth is really dead. Maybe the alternate universes the alternate Elizabeths didn't die, even though the main one lost her terror powers or whatever. Oh, whatever. The way I see it, the Elizabeth that Booker finds in his, or the Annie or Anna, whatever, that he finds in his room, safe in her crib and all, I think that is a canonical ending, and I think that it's the true ending to this whole franchise, and it's a nice one. And yeah, so that's that. And in this next, I'm gonna give this show another 10 minutes. Hopefully I can wrap things up quickly. But yeah, Space Dandy. Oh my god, Space Dandy. If you don't know what Space Dandy is, it's okay, well, I guess because it's not going to be too familiar to people outside of an anime fan base. But if you're familiar with anime and you're familiar with Cowboy Bebop, as all people who are familiar with anime should be, go watch Cowboy Bebop right now if you haven't. And you're familiar with how fucking awesome it is, then Space Dandy is basically a continuation of Cowboy Bebop. It's not Cowboy Bebop. It's not canonical. It's not the same. It's not the same universe as Cowboy Bebop. I think of Space Dandy as a sort of bizarro Cowboy Bebop, even though that's very loose and very wrong. But at the very least, okay. So Space Dandy is about this guy. He goes across the universe, the galaxy, whatever, hunting rare aliens, capturing them and taking them to be registered. Kind of like Pokemon. Looking out for Pokemon, trying to get them into a Pokedex. Although he has to take it to an actual facility, sorting facility or something like that. But anyway, it's this guy and his trusty little robot sidekick, and along the way they meet this cat-like, it's an alien called a Betelgeusian. Oh my god, yes, the names in this show, Betelgeusian. But anyway, it's this alien thing, and what it really is pretty much a cross between a sloth and a cat. The internet's arguably the internet's two most wildly, ridiculously famed animal memes. Cat and sloth put together. That's already amazing and freaking awesome. And his name is like Meow, but for simplification, Space Dandy, the main character, calls him Meow. Space Dandy is pretty much Spike from Cowboy Bebop, but bad at what he does. Just so bad at what he does. And in his mind, he thinks he's like a player. Maybe to some degree he is. But I got the feeling that it's very overshadowed. Oh man, this show is so good. Last Starburst, I'm sorry. Delicious. That was good. I'm cutting this. I'm gonna cut this. This programming has been brought to you by Starburst. Anyway, so yeah. What was I talking about? Space Dandy. Awesome show. Art style is fantastic. I mean, what less could you expect from Bones, really? I mean, it's Studio Bones, great animators, long time doing what they do. Obviously, art style's one thing you're gonna commend them for. Plot, I mean, there's no real plot to the show, and the character development is okay, but it's space opera. It's adventures through different locations in the galaxy. It's going on space shenanigans, fighting aliens, going to a restaurant called Boobies. Boobies! And it's not even called a restaurant, it's called a restaurant. This show is so awesome. He's sailing around on a freaking spaceship called the Aloha Way, and it has a little tiny Gundam mini ship. It turns into a freaking robot. It's called the Little Aloha. It has a freaking Hawaiian shirt and everything. This show is amazing. If you're not watching it, you have to watch it. This amidst all this really shitty, dull and dreary and overly melodramatic high school anime, this show is a light among darkness. I mean, Kill la Kill was awesome. Kill la Kill was great. This show, I think, is better. It's probably just more along my personal taste, but I love this show so much. Oh my god. I watched it all in 2 sittings. I mean, it's not much, I guess, because it's only 13 episodes. More reason to watch the show, by the way, because you can watch it very easily. I watched it in 2 sittings, but even then, even if it was 50 episodes, I probably would have watched it in 2 sittings. Oh my god, this show. So good. You have, oh my god, like the second episode, they're going around looking for this legendary ramen that's made by an interdimensional space creature. This is the kind of show we're talking about. You have to go watch this show right now. What else? To be critical of it, most of the humor is based on sight gags. It's very simplistic, not very complex. That's pretty much what I just said. A lot of it isn't like there was some article that was saying that humor is basically subverting expectations. Not a lot of that, not too much of that happens in this show. But who cares? It's space opera. Oh my god. It's like watching an anime version of Bravest Warriors. I don't know, it's weird. If you've seen Bravest Warriors, it's like a space opera version of adventure. I keep throwing space opera out there, but it's basically adventures through space. And what more could you want from that? What more could you want from that? Moving on from Space Dandy, the character Meow, the sloth thing that I was talking about, he's also freaking hilarious. He's like this, I guess, recluse, nerdish kind of guy, I guess. He's big on social media, which is hilarious because it becomes sort of a thing that causes problems for them. Like there's this, this is another issue so far, but I don't really care. The show has like these antagonists. They're clearly established as antagonists because the leader of them is a freaking flaming skull. But anyway, the antagonist is this guy named Dr. Glenn something. I forget his name. I feel bad. I should know his name. And he is like he's like incompetent. It is so hilarious. I mean, he's intelligent scientist, but he's incompetent, or he has like the worst luck. It's hilarious. There's an episode where they track Space Dandy down to like this abandoned planet, and they're going to get him and everything, but then they run away because there's this monster there that eats you, and it disguises itself as this really cutesy anime girl. It's oh my god, this show is just so good. It's so good. You have to watch it. Just watch it. Just do it. Just do it. Watch it right now. And QT is basically a cute it's a cute little robot who's always trying to keep the group together and trying terribly and failing miserably because there's just no getting, because Space Dandy and Meow are so not focused that there's no hope in getting them to do what needs to be done, which is catching rare aliens and making a ton of money. They do that once though, but yeah. And so about that thing I was saying, there's like this plot point that's been brought up where the antagonists are saying that Space Dandy is like the key to the cosmos or something. Like, who would have thought? But so far they haven't really done anything with that, and already a season has already ended. But yeah, the next one is coming up in July on Toonami, and you could bet your ass that I'm going to be watching that. Yeah. Space Dandy. Go watch it. It's fantastic. And I just there's so many things I could say about the show, but I don't want to spoil too much of it. There's one episode where they go to like this planet, and the show it's just it's so weird. There's all these really weird. There's this really weird music. There's this really weird art style to it. Space Dandy himself looks like he's tripping balls. You wonder yourself if you're tripping balls. It is hilarious. That's it's hilarious. I like it so much. It's oh my gosh, go watch it. Ah! So that's my show for now. Brought to you by Starburst. Not really, but again, our little secret. As far as my blog matters go, I don't have any idea what's gonna happen. I know I mentioned and promised a Miyazaki review, like an overview of all this stuff. I've been drowning in so much work. It's been terrible. I'm hoping this becomes a regular kind of feature. A friend of mine offered to do something like we do one of these, but we bash the badly written short stories that we have come across from among our classmates. And I kind of feel bad about doing that, but I mean, at the same time, they're a great source of entertainment. So that's one thing. And also, I mean, like my blog, let's face it, my blog is kind of dying. But I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna do my best to keep it going. And yeah, that's my show for so far. For now. For so far. Yeah, that's my show for now. Till next time.